Good evening and welcome to tonight's council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First thing I'm going to ask for is agenda changes.
Mr. Mayor, staff does anticipate that our executive session will need to be more extended than normal. So we would suggest, if council's okay, for that to be moved after the report section, just to be cognizant. We are not anticipating any action after that session, but just so we can have adequate time and not disrupt others who are for other portions of the meeting.
Council, everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. We will do that then. Next item on the agenda is public forum. Is there anybody here wishing to address the council this evening that's not on the agenda? Seeing no movement from the audience, we will close the public forum and I'll ask for the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda for August 9th of 2021 as presented.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Consent agenda passes. We'll move on to unfinished business. We have one item that'll turn into two. It's a public hearing on a distressed property at 322 Harvey. I'll open that public hearing now. I don't believe we'll have any ownership representative for that public hearing, correct, Ethan?
No, not this evening.
Is there anybody else here that wants to address this property as far as public hearing? If not, council, I believe we have consideration for resolution that I'll entertain that motion for at this time.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no further discussion, I'd make a motion to approve resolution number 08-09-21-11. A resolution finding that the structures located at 322 Harvey are unsafe or dangerous and directing that the structures be either adequately repaired or demolished and the premises be made safe and secure.
Second.
You've heard the motion and the second to approve resolution number 08-09-21-11. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That resolution passes. I will now close the public hearing on the distressed property at 322 Harvey. And we'll move on to new business and
Excuse me.
Got another motion.
there's another motion on that.
I'd make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to end the distressed property proceedings and hearings for the property at 322 Harvey Street.
Second.
Indefinitely, or was there a date on that?
That's indefinite.
We're done.
Okay.
Disposition.
For that motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, now we'll move on to new business. First item is consideration of check 117932 to C Squared Signs. Because Mr. Campbell's on the council, we always bring these checks to the attention of the public, so take that motion for approval on that.
I'd make a motion to approve check number 117932 to C Square for $150 and approve ordinance number 2021 AP 15A.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries. Next is consideration of continuing disclosure filing acknowledgement. Ethan will bring us up to par on that.
Thank you. This is part of our stipulations of having bonds, particularly our bonds that are greater than $1 million. We're required to file certain financial information or event notices that would be germane to somebody that was looking to invest in City of Halstead municipal bonds. And our date is to get those in by August 1st. You can see the receipts. We do this all electronically. We filed the audit report that you all accepted at a previous meeting, so we did not put that in the packet again. And then operating data, and then also knew this, we did file the event notice just related to the city seeking that city utility low interest loan related to the gas. And that should cover all of our continuing disclosure requirements. We did put the operating data in there just so you all could see. It kind of has some interesting things in there, like our top 10 taxpayers and levy and you know, the average debt per capita stuff. So just thought hopefully you all would maybe enjoy seeing that. But part of our policy for continuing disclosure requirements is that you all, that once you've seen proof that they've been filed, acknowledge that that information has been filed on behalf of the city of Halstead. So,
You have proof? I'd make a motion to acknowledge the submission of the City of Halstead's annual continuing disclosure requirements for the year ending December 31st, 2020, with the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, MSRB.
Second.
Have the motion and second to acknowledge this continuing disclosure filing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Next is discussion of a subdividers agreement for Cedar Meadows, second phase 4. I'll let Ethan make introductions on that.
thank you. This is a new subdividers agreement to cover the blocks of Main Street and Stutzman Circle that we would be looking at providing an extension of services, streets and utilities. Previously, we had a subdividers agreement, and that was put in there with Vision Homes back when we did the 1400 block of Main. We kind of, as that changed ownership, just honored the terms of that as opposed to making the developers come back. But the subdividers agreement only specifically covered those lots in that block. In this case, this would cover the new lots and block. And this is kind of the first step in setting the playing field, if you will, of who's going to cover what costs. And the city's planning to, we'll have some more steps as far as petitions for improvement that you all will have the option to accept. But I believe the developers and landowners are here this evening to talk to you all about maybe some requested changes to the draft that was in your packet. So I believe Eddie or Alan, if you would like to come speak to the council, now would be the time to do that.
Hello, my name is Alan Weber. I guess maybe I'll start with, if anybody has any questions about the subdividers agreement? Okay. I do have one amendment that we would like to make to the subdividers agreement, to change the letter of credit amounts from 50% of the cost to the city and 50% to myself and my brother Eddie. I'd like to change that to an 80% participation in the cost of the project to the city of Halstead, 20% to Cedar Meadows participation in the cost of the project, with the letter of credit to still be released at 50% completion. Purpose of this is just to try to decrease our capital investment, so we have capital to work with the other projects that we're trying to get started in town also.
Has this been discussed with you, Ethan, or Mayor?
I have not looked at this.
We just, I got it from, from Alan, and got it on the agenda for that. We spoke briefly about them maybe wanting to see that 50% lowered to 20%. As far as credit, as I noted in the agenda memo, I mean, we still need to have Brad have adequate time to go over this. And then as the nature of this project is going to involve us bonding a portion of it no matter what, just because we won't have the cash on hand. We'll also send it to our bond counsel for them, which is why we're not recommending any hard action tonight from the council other than just to get your thoughts on like this request of, if you're open to that. I also brought up, you know, it has been discussed in the planning commission and our strategic plan about sidewalks, the developers agreement, because we didn't put sidewalks in the 1400 block of Main. There's no mention of sidewalks or who would be responsible for that cost in this. Again, that's just something for you all, I guess, to think about. I would imagine that if the city is gonna, you know, say that sidewalks need to be in there, then there's gonna be some expectation for us to have a role in financing those. But that should be something, Brad can correct me if I'm wrong, that we probably want stipulated in the developers agreement so we know going in that there's gonna be sidewalks put in.
Well, do we want to have an executive session to discuss all the little facets of this here? Sounds like there's going to be several things to consider.
I think we should probably postpone it until the next meeting and give our council time for discovery and put together a plan. We'll consider your request.
Okay.
I think we need to see some detail from our council first and then address it maybe at the next meeting.
One thing that I think would be appropriate to know, what is the reason for the 50% letter of credit? If you could expound on that, Brad?
In a general or generic sense, the letter of credit generally just provides us with some element of security in the event you have a Bentley situation, for those of you who are familiar with that. Should something happen, it's a little different situation here because these are local individuals and you certainly want to take that into account. But things still happen. And so the reason for, used to be they were 100% letter of credit for an extended period of time. A lot of cities still utilize that and require it. That's fairly stiff. And so meeting a developer somewhere in the middle is not an unheard of kind of a thing. So, I mean, the short form answer to the question is, it's basically your collateral, it's your security in the event something goes wrong, because ultimately you can't bankrupt a set of bonds, for example, or in these kinds of instances, once this has gone out as specials and that sort of thing, there's not an ability in a general sense based upon those are held by a trustee. It gets into a long process, but the long and the short of it is we're going to pay them. If the developer is unable to, or the property doesn't sell, or something doesn't happen and they're not able to, we're going to. Which is why I mentioned Bentley, because it just hamstrung them for a number of years. It still continues to do so because they allowed the letter of credit to go away. And then it was all on them, and we've looked at every alternative for how they could get out from under that, and candidly, we're not able to do so. And so the taxpayers have been picking up that tab ever since.
I feel like we just went through this a couple of years ago, didn't we? I feel like we just went through this a couple of years ago.
did.
We did, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we had a work session, because the original developers agreement didn't release the letter of credit until 75% occupancy.
Yep.
And they had come in when I think they hit about 60% and asked if we were okay with releasing, and you all had to approve that. And we talked at that time the need for, as they geared up for the next phase of,
Yeah.
we really need to revisit this and look into it, which is one of the reasons why initially the 50% were in there, because you all had essentially authorized about the same. The 20% would be a further deviation from
Yeah.
But part
what
of
we
what
did in
was-
the past.
And part of what was considered in that, if I remember right, was an out-of-the-city contractor, someone with no investment in the city versus someone that lives in the city and has other future developments going. And developments are expensive. Takes a lot out of pocket. Then your other businesses going on, and I think I've got a pretty good idea what you guys have going here in town, and everything is to the benefit of Halstead. So I don't think, like an outside contractor, they're gonna shut a door and walk away from it.
I think we've got a proven track record with our
Right.
investors, and, I mean, I might suggest we look at 25% instead of 20. Take it from 50 to half that,
Well,
and then look at the next.
I think we should probably let Brad and Ethan put together this proposal. And I don't know if we can take care of it in an executive session at the next meeting or public, whatever we need to do. I certainly agree with all the sentiments that have been said here tonight. But I do think that as a council, we just need to visit this a little closer and make sure that's in the city's best interest. And then we'll come back with either accepting or counter and let you know by next meeting. You think that's fair, Ethan?
I think we should be able.
Is that what the council wants?
Yeah, we think we need to do our due diligence and look at the nuts and bolts.
It's a council decision.
Right, right.
Fair enough, thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Guys?
Next item on the agenda is discussion of City Council 2022 budget work session dates.
We just need to get a work session set. At our next meeting in August, we will have, present to you all the budget notice or public hearing publication, which would set that final. So to kind of go over the budget, as last time we just really covered the tax funds and not our utility funds. We're wanting to set a budget work session to kind of go over the whole budget again with you all, show you the information that wasn't available last time. And to get that in, we are thinking the week of August 16th is going to be the best week for us to do that.
August 16th,
Yeah.
I'm open all that week.
Wednesday and Thursday is out. That's the first week of schools, and I've got clinicals on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Did you say the 16th?
Yeah, the week of the
Week
16th.
of the
And I'm
16th.
out of town then.
That's next week.
Yep.
So we're looking at
Right.
the 17th or 20th then for everybody to be able,
But if
you're
he's
gone all
out,
week.
I'm back on the 23rd. I could do this week or the week of the 23rd.
16 or 17 is good for me.
Will we have a quorum? If George isn't there, would everybody else be there?
I could do the 17th or the 20th.
yeah, I can do the 17th or the 20th or any evening this week.
17th,
I can do the 17th.
I'm open. Okay, with you, George?
I'm not gonna be here. Well, the 17th, yeah, I won't be here.
17th at what, 7 o'clock,
6 o'clock.
6?
You go 6:30.
6:30.
6:45.
Well, no, I have
No, 6:30.
I have an evening clinical group that I have to get started, so I can't get from Wichita to here by 6 if I'm with them
So plenty of
for
time.
45 minutes.
Carlos, don't feed them good food.
Don't want to
Save
meet up
the
with
good
one of
stuff around and
Halstead's
give it-
finest.
6:45?
6:30, yeah, 6:30 or 6:45, that's fine. Okay.
Carlos, could you make sure to send us all a reminder email on that?
Yes.
Thank
Do
you.
we need a motion?
If someone set a motion to set that as a work
We'll go
session.
17,
At 6:30.
6:30?
If I understood everybody correct, I would make a motion to set the budget work session date at August 17th at 6:30. 6:45, sorry.
Second.
Heard the motion and the second for the work session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. And that work session is set. Well, since we've moved the executive session to the end of the meeting, we're ready for the report section next. I'll start with the governing body. Tonight, I'll start with you, Denise. Do you have anything?
Just getting excited for all the things I'm seeing up for Old Settlers, so looking forward to it.
Sam?
I did a drive around this evening before a council meeting, drove down through the city park and looked at that area, and I tell you what, I think everybody's done a tremendous job getting everything mowed and looking really good. Does it look good from the Old Settlers Committee?
All coming together.
Okay. We thank city crew and Old Settlers Committee.
Mike?
Yep, I'm good.
George?
Oh, still seeing people blow their grass out into the curb and gutter. Please don't do it.
Edward?
Just hope everybody has a safe and happy Old Settlers coming up.
Well, if I remember right, when I served on the council, it was always the mayor's responsibility for the weather, and the latest forecast shows it's gonna be hot all week until Saturday and Sunday, so I may get a reprieve. It's gonna be a little cooler this weekend. That's all I have, so we'll move on to Ethan for the manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. City departmental activity for July was as follows. Police had 113 calls for service, 36 traffic stops, and 14 criminal cases. New officer sidearms arrived, and all officers successfully qualified and are now carrying those new guns. Officer Logan Miller has transitioned to become the city's canine handler from Sergeant Stovall, and he and Eddie have been certified through the Kansas Police Dog Association and are now working together. Fire had 17 calls for service, including 8 EMS assists, 3 auto aid calls for structure fires, and performed standby at the Harvey County Demolition Derby as part of the Free Fair. Staff conducted hose testing for the station in Tender 21 with the new hose testing equipment. Chief Anskoik has recently finished a firefighter 2 course that had 14 students and attended the Harvey County 911 Board of Directors and Emergency Services Association meetings in July. Chief Hoffman will be attending the arson investigator course this August as part of his professional development. EMS had 46 calls for service, bringing the yearly call volume to 333 calls. EMS Director Lowe has been elected chairman of the Hutchinson Community College EMS Advisory Board and will be attending the KEMSA conference this weekend. Parks and Recreation continued summer upkeep and maintenance of public spaces, including ball fields and pool area and the Levee Walking Trail. Swimming pool will remain open for normal hours through August 15th, and then will be open the following weekend for a final swim opportunity. The Halstead High Advanced PE class will utilize the pool for a few weeks beginning of the year and for their classes, and staff are currently working on setting the date for the dog swim to officially close out the season. Sign-ups for rec volleyball for grades 3 through 6 are currently happening. Sunday evening activities of pickleball and kickball continue, and the children's theater program will perform this Sunday as part of Old Settlers, and then again the following Friday, which is sponsored in part by the city. Wedgwood reports that the new tee boxes have been put into play. The greens were aerified, sand bunkers were refaced, 2 tournaments were held, and repairs to the irrigation system continue. Course also passed its inspection from Kansas Wildlife and Parks, and staff performed lemon storm cleanup following last month's storms. Play on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and weekends continues to be high, and course revenues remain strong for the summer. Public Works and Utilities completed 11 building inspections, 3 burials, 2 lift station service calls, a water service repair, limited meter reading, mosquito spraying, street patching, street and riprap weed spraying, street grading, and levee mowing. Last month, they also completed citywide storm cleanup, which saw about 40 loads of material taken to the burn site and replaced 2 posts that had come down in the storm and repaired the electrical service on one of those posts at Riverside Park. And recently, staff have been involved in Old Settlers preparation, such as preparing mud volleyball pits and repairing and moving tables and bleachers. Administration continues with normal daily functions and transactions, completed utility billing, continued training of new employees, and work on the 2022 budget. City Superintendent Adams and I participated in another work session with the Public Wholesale Water Supply District Number 17 Board in terms of updating the agreement and operational documents as it pertains to district members, which Halstead is one. I participated in another meeting with the KMIT Health Insurance Task Force and hope there will be some updates in the coming month on that and our work on that effort. Purple Wave has come out and taken pictures of the surplus items being sold, and the auction for those items should be before the end of the month. Currently, I am working with the Safe Routes to School Committee to get a meeting scheduled to review the draft plan as developed by Lochner for our Phase 1 project. The city is also working with Harvey County on training on the new countywide mass notification system, and we hope to roll that out to our residents for county and city notifications in the near future. And then finally, I just wanted to point out, in case anyone did not see the news story, that Kansas Gas Service recently filed with the KCC to recoup the $390 million in extraordinary costs that they incurred due to the February winter storm and cold snap. Their plan includes passing those costs on in terms of higher average rates for their customers for either 5, 7, or 10 years, depending on what passes KCC. June saw Black Hills announce similar measures for their customers, and I'm only pointing this out as it verifies what we've been telling our gas consumers since the beginning, which is all gas utilities, both city and privately held, were affected by what happened in February, and even the large gas companies would have to be adjusting rates in terms of years for their customers to make up what everyone saw in terms of cost for that month. While Halstead saw a more immediate effect and the need to react quicker due to owning our gas utility and staying compliant with state budget laws, we were not alone in the financial strain that event caused. And one of the advantages of us owning our utility is we did have the flexibility to offer our customers multiple options for their bills as opposed to adopting a one-size-fits-all approach for everyone. So I know not everyone has been paying attention to it, and some days I wish I still wasn't paying attention to the gas, but it was nice to see that Kansas Gas Service finally filed their rate case as well. So that is all I have this evening, unless there's any questions.
Well, I really appreciate that report on that last item regarding the gas. And please, if you didn't catch it, go back to Facebook, the streaming, and look at it and listen to it. It's good information.
Any other questions of that report? So we will entertain the financial report now.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Staff continues to work on reconciliation following the audit. You have the reports through the end of May in front of you representing our fully closed financials. Across all budgeted funds, on the first page, the city remains in favorable condition as far as cash balances compared to the previous year. It's largely driven by the gas fund, as you should all be able to see. And that's mostly because we began collecting the revenues from the winter storm bills. But as of the date of this report, we had not started remitting payments yet to the state. All funds allowing for the recent budget amendment in the gas fund are operating within budget authority. Overall revenues are exceeding expectations across all funds, again, driven largely by the gas fund, and expenditures are at below expectations. The shortfall observed in the water fund is due to the timing of budgeted transfers, some occurring earlier in 2021 than they did in 2020, which we did in response to what was happening in the gas fund. We expedited some water transfers and held off on gas. But we don't believe there's any reason for concern. We'll continue to monitor the water fund for its overall health. Revenues in the city general fund are being bolstered by larger than anticipated golf revenue and carryover from last fiscal year. Some revenues remain weak, such as interest income and court revenues. Utility funds overall remain in stable and healthy condition, and we're still adjusting our expectations and trying to work on how to get a good model for what's happening in the gas fund as we begin to make those payments. And then we are transitioning away from some of the people that only opted for, 4 or 6 month payment plans, and we're more moving on now to everyone that elected to go full term. So that's kind of been interesting to see the revenues and how they're shifting there. But we believe overall we're still in good shape with the gas fund. As far as the next page, the city's capital or equipment and capital improvement funds remain in good shape, both at a balance of over $600,000 at the end of May, and barring 204 Main, no major anticipated expenditures in the next couple of months there. So staff will continue to work on getting these financial reports reconciled and up to date and present more information to you all at subsequent meetings.
204 Main is looking pretty good.
Thanks for that financial report, Ethan. Any additional questions for Ethan regarding that report, council?
Not so much the report. Do we expect to have fencing down on 204 Main by Old Settlers?
The contractor said that it would be down.
Good.
That was last I heard. I haven't checked with him this week, but
I was asked at breakfast on Saturday, and I said, I've been told it was coming down.
I have a feeling if Tim said it'll be down, I have a feeling it'll be down.
That was the goal, and I think I'm keeping to the goal.
It's gonna be weird not seeing the fencing there.
I know.
been there a while.
Well, I would entertain the motion for our executive session at this time.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session for 45 minutes to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to the consultation with an attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, exception KSA 75-4319B2, and ask that in addition to the governing body, the following persons join the governing body in executive session: the city manager, the city attorney. The open meeting and governing body to reconvene in the city council chamber at 8:15 p.m.
Second.
Have the motion and second to enter into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will be moving to executive session. We are back from our executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of? Seeing no movement from the council, that's going to conclude our business this evening, and I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Thank you, council. Thank you, Halstead. We are adjourned.